Hi, it's Tim Kennelty.
And Jean Thomas.
And welcome to Nature Calls, Conversations from the Hudson Valley. Hey, we have a continuation of our conversation with Kristopher Williams from the Capital Region PRISM. And we've been talking about success stories, which we all need to hear about. And we talked about the snowy owl and grassland bird trust. What are we going to talk about today, Kristopher?
I do want to have a continued conversation about a partner that we work with. And these are people that we work with that are more of a friends group as opposed to conservation practitioners that are restoring landscape. And I want to talk a little bit about the power of education and how you can motivate individuals to take and do their own actions. In particular, the Hudson Crossings Park, which is located in, I think it's on the border of Washington County / Saratoga County. It's kind of an island that is bisected by the Hudson River and the Champlain Canal. Okay, so it's kind of a historical location. It's at the confluence of the Battenkill, if you've ever heard of that, but it's a really unique area historically. It's in Schuylerville, New York, really close to the Saratoga battlefield. There's a group of people there that have been basically like the Friends of the Crossings. Can't remember, but I think in 2018, I get a phone call, and there's this woman on the phone, and sorry if she hears this, I don't remember exactly which person it was because there's so many. Would you be interested in coming out and talking to our garden club about invasive species? And she said, but we're going to do it a little different. We're not going to do it inside. We have this wonderful pavilion, and we're going to invite all our people, and we just want to hear you talk. And so I came out for the visit.
Reluctantly, of course.
I think it was on a Saturday. And I'm like, she's probably worked ridiculously long hours. I'm like, okay. It's funny, I'm laughing now. It probably was a really good investment of time based on what's happened there. So I gave this just general talk about what are invasive species and why are they problematic and things that I think a lot of people know now. At the time, these people didn't. And part of this program is they wanted me to take them on a walk on their property. You know, you've probably heard of woods walk. So This was a park walk in the garden. And the park had been partially restored for some of their gardens. And you could see this mosaic or patchwork quilt of people over time, these volunteers and friends group, doing their own little like 10 by 10 gardens. And they're aware like, oh, there's a bittersweet's moving in on this garden. And we've got this buckthorn over here. What do we do? And so part of that walk and talk was the simple ways that they could manage or curb that or suppress it or just remove it from the property.
So it wasn't some big, overwhelming objective, right?
No, I think this little park is probably about 10 to 15 acres in size. So it was like a community garden situation with a trail network around the perimeter of the island that went in and out of the woods into a grassland. And they have this beautiful like pavilion, and it's just really community-based and community-centered, so it's fantastic.
So my question is, when we talked about the grassland bird trust, it was obviously an area where you were trying to protect a specific species or lots of species. So what made you prioritize this? Did you see the value of kind of community in this in the beginning?
The outreach piece was the main component, not like conservation or restoration.
So completely different from the grassland bird
purely
trust.
just sharing information, educating people that were interested in invasive species and conservation practices.
And then letting them loose.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Part of the story was what makes a plant productive. And I was pointing out, like, this is really great. You've got some natives here that somebody planted. This plant here can be problematic. And they totally listened. These were, there's probably about 28 people. And they were retired. Some of them were working, had kids. But they were really invested in this community park. And so they just listened to all this. And that was it. Did the program for 2 hours and
walked away.
I walked away.
And then what happened?
A year later, one of their staff members, her name is Mary, gives me a call, and she's like, Chris, I would like you to come out to our property. I want to talk to you about how to manage our woodland. I was like, okay. She's like, I have a couple other people coming. I'm like, sure, Mary, I'll come out. So we did a walkthrough, and she just was like asking questions with the forest in mind as opposed to a garden, but it was the same concept. Mm-hmm. Like, what is all this stuff in here? What can I do with these invasive shrubs? And I gave her like 3 or 4 options on different scales, some that were less intrusive, some that were more intrusive in terms of aggressiveness if you want to take care of this problem on a small scale. And she's like, thanks very much. And then I left.
He just does his damage and walks away.
It's a good job you got.
Yeah, right. Lots of talking. I did offer that we'd come and assist, but she wasn't interested in that. And a year later, Mary calls me back. She says, Kris, can you help me with some maps? I want to have some maps. So I sent her some maps, and they started looking at this entire park. And they broke their park up into little parcels. They had areas for their sensory trail that they wanted to restore natively to like riparian plantings. They had their community gardens. So I gave them the map. And Mary's like, thanks. And then I didn't hear from Mary for another year.
I love Mary.
And
Well,
then,
I think Kris is to be commended too.
and then we had a partners meeting, and she shows up at one of our partners meeting. I think it was a spring one. She's like, hey, Kris, I want you to know this is all the stuff that we're doing. And I was shocked, floored. Mary went out and wrote a grant, and they purchased a tractor through a grant.
Very cool.
Like a $30,000 tractor.
Well, you obviously had an impact upon them too. I mean, when you talked to them, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
like
not just all them.
He's
obviously.
a resource.
Yeah.
Mary did it.
Yeah, it'd be really great if you just had some mechanical equipment to help you out here. At that point, I realized that their board and their membership were highly engaged, and they had started cultivating this island and just retransforming it into native gardens, restoring some of their woodlands. This past fall, just absolutely amazing. The Hudson Crossing Park, they decided to take their grassland, their retired agricultural field, and make a tree promenade. Have you ever heard one of these things?
No, tell us.
Yeah, I'm like promenade, like let's go dancing.
Like
Isn't
in LA?
Is promenade like what you do like in square dancing?
Yeah, it is. I
Yeah.
think.
We need to bring that back because I actually enjoyed that when I was in school when I was a little kid.
I'm against that. Just I'll go on record.
Wait,
Just-
People do it now. It's like a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All those young kids are doing it these
Dance
days.
flurry in
Do-si-dos
Saratoga.
coming up, you know.
So a promenade is a column or a row of trees for all sorts of purposes. It could be for walking under, for shade, for viewing, but they're intentional.
So they wanted to totally transform this piece of property.
Yeah,
This-
so they got this grassland that they like to view, and there's birds. But Mary's objective with the crossing was to provide some additional tree plantings. It's called afforestation, where you're reforesting agricultural areas. But she also wanted to provide pollinator promenade.
Huh.
And so underneath the trees, and there's a diversity of trees.
Tillias, I can hear them now.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
some
yeah.
that are like climate range expansion trees that do well with changing. Others are really good for pollinators.
And they did this work in terms of research.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
Great. Well, they might have asked for like some fact sheet. It's like, here's a list of trees you might want to
I
consider.
love it. I'm into this. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Tree
then
promenade.
she went a step further. She's like, we're going to put shrubs underneath these trees, and we're not going to look like it's architecturally designed, but we're going to put these small, semi-shade tolerant flowering shrubs for the pollinators also. So they got the trees and the shrubs underneath. She reaches out to this landscaping company, and they're like, well, we have $5,000 to do this. Right? This guy doesn't care. He's like, well, I'll tell you what, I'll kick in and match that. And we ended up planting close to 50 trees and 30 shrubs on this day. And there were work crews that were there from commercial industry. There were volunteers from the Hudson Crossings. There was my staff. Everybody was there. They set up tents. They had cookies and homemade cookies.
There
and
was
stuff.
food.
There was
You
food. There was
see?
cider.
But Schuylerville's population is about 12.
And do you feel this was a kind of a really unique thing, or do you think this you could replicate as well?
You know what?
Or is it the enthusiasm of the people that it's hard
Mary.
to replicate?
If you have, it's Mary. There's always a driver.
You need a Mary.
Yeah, there's usually a Mary. Yeah.
There's a driver, right? These things are it's like, how do you get the word out that people are doing great things? I'm like, our office, we're swamped. There's no end to what we're doing.
It's almost like you need a clearinghouse of success stories and how to replicate them.
Yeah, we're working on that.
Oh, excellent.
There's the New York State NYS info website that's been rebooted, but that's one of the outcomes is like maybe sharing success stories. It needs to be.
Is that something that is live now that we could include in our show notes?
Yes, I can dig up the website.
Oh, send it to us, yeah.
Yeah, and that's through the state, through the clearinghouse, but it hasn't been fully deployed yet. It's a soft launch.
What status is Hudson Crossing now? Are they putting out a book or something? They should.
They have a website. I think you can there's like some storyboards on their website.
Okay.
I looked at it. It's very cool.
All right.
Before we talk.
And they have other things going on that I think other communities could benefit, like how they do their community outreach.
It's very social, right? It's very social.
Yeah, and it's
so cool.
It is neat. So you can go to their website showing you what they're doing.
Yeah.
It certainly draws me in.
Well, we're in.
Yeah. I don't even need to ask the hope question in this segment.
No,
I don't
no.
think, because this is
But what
really
we
helpful.
can ask, this is a bonus for Tim.
Go ahead.
We heard a rumor, and we're not holding you to it. One of Tim's favorite invasives to hate is stiltgrass. He goes berserk.
It's one of my favorites.
So we heard a rumor that there might be something that can be done.
And more people I talk to ask about stiltgrass. It seems like that's the thing that is
No, it's
really
because you walk up to
visible
people and ask
I
them
do,
about
I do. No, but
stiltgrass.
it really seems to be something that people are just really, really understanding now. So what can we do about stiltgrass?
So stiltgrass is a relatively new introduction to this region. There isn't a lot of, in terms of information, like is there a biocontrol out there that can eat it?
Yeah.
But that's something that can be researched, right? Biocontrols take decades.
Yes.
If you have a species that you can find and then can be released. Prevention is number one, right? Because the seeds, it's an annual, and it's spread by equipment on your shoes, on your mountain bike, your tractor tires.
Shoe scrapers outside of
the little
public
blue brushes.
conservation areas and stuff like that.
And we talk about if you bring equipment in, clean the equipment, just even washing it with a hose, bare minimum.
What about a flamethrower or something like that?
Yeah.
There's a couple of cool things. So, I mean, it is a grass. So, of course, when we talk about IPM, Integrated Pest Management, the bottom level is the cultural controls, like cleaning your equipment, preventing, awareness, boot brush stations. And then level 2 is actually like manual control. If you find it, so you educate your property managers what it looks like, you might find a little like a patch the size of this little table.
Don't let it make seed.
Yeah, go ahead and dig it up.
And isn't there a particular time when you want to do that?
It's tricky. So you want
I knew it would be.
If you're going to remove it, we let it grow.
Right.
And then we, just before it goes to seed.
Like August-ish or September, early September.
September. We're getting it late because it's warmer out, so late in the fall. But you can pull it, hand pull it. I've used a scallop technique where I just, on some trails, where I'm scraping with a shovel and I'm getting a 1/4 inch of the soil where the seeds are. And that's been effective on small patches.
And I know you're talking about IPM, but there are grass-specific herbicides, right, that would take care of that. If you, like, I had it in my path and I used that in March and it pretty much disappeared from that particular area.
Herbicides are a really good choice. They should be very restrictive and as a last measure. Do all the other things first. And chemicals sometimes have their place when there's larger scale, or sometimes if it's just being a difficult plant and it's such a small infestation and you really want to make sure you knock it out, because that chemical use is so limited on such a small scale that the benefit of using it in the return of a native population and preventing its spread further is really tremendous. I do have one more ancillary note that I've discovered, which I haven't been able to bring up. I was visiting a property with a resource manager in this area. So one of the things that we noticed with a resource manager in Columbia County that was doing little controlled studies of how to manage stiltgrass with like chemical controls, fire treatment, hand removal, weed whacking. Some of them backfired, and like the fire one actually, for whatever reason, they had greater growth the next year. Underneath the hemlock trees, the stiltgrass wasn't moving underneath them. I had this aha moment because we have a property that we're managing up north, the Daniel Road State Forest, and it's just in the parking lot. It was brought in by the rock. They put the little crusher run rock down, and the seeds were in there from this quarry. I feel like they come from the same quarry and spread it everywhere. We just can't identify where.
Evil spores.
Yeah, yeah. And so it only grows along the roadside where this rock was put in for the road improvement. But it has never entered the forest, which is what we're trying to protect. Right. And when I saw this, I was like, because the forested area that we're working in is a wall of hemlocks.
And they have an allelopath?
You think it's, some kind of chemical?
I don't think it's an allelopath. I think it's the tannins that change the pH in the soil.
Gotcha.
And so that's worth noting. And so when I talk to a researcher, this is something that's worth exploring. It's just one of those ancestral records.
Am I allowed to ask one more stiltgrass question? Since you brought it up and you said it was my favorite. So what about planting native ground covers that might outcompete stiltgrass? Because that's one of the things we've been trying.
I had this really cool result. Like, it blew my mind. So at this Daniels Road State Forest, it's like a mountain park mecca. Like, it's nuts. So we're always like educating the bikers, and the one trail to get into the main entry of this mountain bike park for the state lands is through the stiltgrass, right?
Of course.
Oh, good.
Right. Oh, of course.
Of course. Always.
Yeah, and there's like a little wetland where the water's moving it. Of course, there's hornet's nest in the ground, and managing this was just a lot of fun. Like, I think I got stung like 30 times the one day, and I'm like just furious, right? But we knocked out the stiltgrass, but we were super careful because there were native plants present. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there were New England asters, various forms of saudago, the goldenrods, and we were very good about weed whacking and pulling around those plants. It wasn't hard. I actually kind of enjoyed it. I think we did 2 days and maybe a quarter acre. The following year, so this was almost like 90% stiltgrass. So there's just little sprigs of, Joe Pye weed here and there. The following year, we came back in the fall. I was like shocked. It had flipped the script. Majority of the goldenrod filled in.
And it's like Canadian goldenrod are you talking about?
I'm not sure. I should go back because I know Canadian goldenrod's really aggressive.
It's pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
Well, there's a bunch of little ones.
I mean, there are some aggressive.
But the Canadian, it probably is. The Canadian goldenrod is still from the Northeast.
Right. And everybody hates it, but maybe we shouldn't be hating it, right?
No, it's holy crow. If you look at the productivity of plants and how many pollinators they support, goldenrods are around 800.
It's pretty amazing, right? Yeah.
Now, do I plant goldenrod on my property? Yes. Do I keep an eye on it so it doesn't take over everything? Because it's very rhizomatous and it can be scary.
It's wicked.
It's super aggressive. But again, in terms of an alternative choice, hands down.
What would you rather have, right?
Oh, yeah. The really aggressive goldenrod that supports natives.
Again, hopeful. I think this is helpful, right?
Yeah.
This is good. There, you satisfied now? Have
I
you
am
learned
satisfied.
enough about
And that's what
stiltgrass?
it's all about, my being satisfied.
There will be no more stiltgrass questions. Thank you.
Okay, but
That's
then
it.
again,
No more.
I think probably we're at the end of our time now,
I think
right?
we filled plenty of time. This is so awesome.
Always wonderful to have you, and we always learn so much from you, and also are hopeful and joyful after you leave us.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you do, especially for your audience. You guys are
cool.
Awesome.
Thank you. And
Pass
thanks to
the
all our
word.
listeners, too.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Thank you again, Chris.
Thank you.